Hey everybody, Sam here from Sugar Spun Run, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make mini cinnamon muffins. This recipe has been in my family forever. One of the reasons we love it so much is because it is so simple to make and so good it makes a great breakfast option. The first thing you'll want to do to make these mini cinnamon muffins is preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we can begin. We're going to start with 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Add this to a large bowl, and we'll add 2/3 cup of granulated sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We're also going to add some spices, including a 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and just a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Just use a spoon to stir these dry ingredients together until they're well combined. With our dry ingredients combined, we can set these aside and we'll prepare our wet ingredients. You'll want to use a separate, medium-sized, clean bowl to prepare the wet ingredients. The first thing we will add to this bowl is 1 large egg. We'll pour this in and then use a fork to lightly beat the egg. Add a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then we will add our buttermilk. This recipe uses 1/2 cup of buttermilk. I love using buttermilk in my muffin recipes, but if you don't have actual buttermilk on hand, you can make a really simple substitute using vinegar or lemon juice and regular milk. I have that recipe video over in my video library if you want to check that out. We'll add this to our egg and vanilla mixture. And ideally, you would want your buttermilk to be at room temperature when you're adding it to your wet ingredients. Usually I like to set mine out the morning before I know I'm going to be baking these muffins. Finally, we will be adding 6 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. This butter should be melted, but you don't want it to be scorching hot when you add it to your other ingredients. I like to melt mine before I actually begin mixing everything together. That way it's had a little bit of time to cool before I add it to the milk and the egg. And I'll just use a spoon to stir these together. If your buttermilk or your egg are a little too cold, or if your butter's a little too warm when you combine everything together, you may notice that your ingredients start to curdle a little bit. That's okay, just stir everything together as well as you can, and when you add everything to your dry ingredients, you're not even going to be able to tell. Your muffins will still turn out just fine. With our wet ingredients combined, now we'll bring back our dry ingredients and we'll pour our wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. As with all of my muffin recipes, it is very important that you do not overmix the batter, otherwise your muffins will come out too dense and too dry, and we definitely don't want that. So I'm going to use a rubber spatula to stir everything together, and I'm going to use a really gentle hand when doing so. Alright, with our cinnamon muffin batter prepped, now we can portion this into our muffin tin. This recipe makes 24 mini muffins, and I like to line my pan with those mini paper liners. If you don't have these paper liners on hand, instead you can just grease and flour the cavities, or you can even spray with a baking spray. I like to use a cookie scoop to portion out my muffin batter. It just makes things easier and makes less of a mess, but if you don't have one on hand, you can just use a spoon to portion out the batter instead. I'll fill each muffin liner about 3/4 of the way full. Now we can bake these cinnamon muffins in our 375 degree Fahrenheit oven for about 13 minutes. My favorite thing about these muffins is the topping that goes on them after they bake. While your muffins are baking, you can go ahead and prepare this. We're going to need 4 tablespoons of melted salted butter. We'll be brushing that on top as soon as they're finished baking. And we are also going to make a cinnamon sugar mixture. This is really simple to make. You just need 4 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and we will add 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon to that. Just use a spoon to stir these together, and we'll just set these aside until our muffins are finished baking. After 13 minutes, your muffins should be finished baking, and now we can add our toppings. First, we'll brush each muffin with the butter that we already melted, and then we'll sprinkle everything with our cinnamon sugar mixture. Each muffin will get a healthy sprinkle of cinnamon and sugar. And that is all there is to making these super cute mini cinnamon muffins. I really hope that you guys will try this recipe out for yourself, and please let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.